Hello everybody, we are Yang and Anna. We are going to talk about NOX architecture. We've tried to be creative with our presentation. I hope you enjoy it.
NOX is one of these offices that produces architecture as well as art. NOX has been at the forefront of the development of digital design in architecture since its beginnings in the early 1996. Their works has been exhibited in many international museums like the Centre Pompidou in Paris, the Victoria and Albert in London, the MoMA New York, and was part of several editions of Venice Biennale. In 1997, they built the first fully interactive building with digital generated geometry, the so-called Water Pavilion.
NOX is run by Lars Brooks, who is a full professor and the Ventland Distinguished Chair in Architecture Design at Georgia Tech in Atlanta. He has a strong belief in the cultural effects of new technologies. He said soon it will be possible to have a completely unique parts in a built structure for a price that before would only be possible through huge amounts of repetition.
The Water Pavilion is a special building for many reasons. It's the first fully topological structure where curvature is not only in the roof and walls, but also in the floors. No section is horizontal. It's the first fully interactive building in which visitors can transform light and sound in the interior through a wide range of sensors. The Water Pavilion is a permanent structure that doesn't contain an exhibition in the classical sense, as in a museum where moving and seeing are distinct. The building geometry is generated through iterative transformation. It starts with a simple tube made up of ellipses. The geometry of the architecture provokes inhabitants to use haptic perception in order to experience the environment. This geometry becomes a vehicle that initiates the merging of subject and object. Spaces are blended into one, with each still being able to vary independently.
The V2 Lab is both a workspace and a place for receiving visitors to the V2 organization, an arts and technology institute that organizes the biennial Electronic Art Festival. The space is designed to facilitate specific function, but also to stimulate new unknown situations. This space in which the determined states of objects are still readable and usable as function, but also where less determined states are materialized to simulated new behaviors.
During a short period after 9/11, we all hoped architecture would become a public matter in the United States. But America is far beyond a nation state now. Knox wanted to rethink the WTS as something bigger than large, more than a skyscraper. A Blink WTS is a design for a new World Trade Center. The structure is not formed by a simple extrusion of a plan, but is self-organized into a network megastructure, in which the whole is larger than the sum of its parts.
Soft office is a building in which work and play are closely interwoven. Half of the building is reserved for young children to play with interactive environments. The other half is for adults to work in flex office, where no one has a specified workplace and where the environment is intended for functional, formal conduct and informal, creative conduct, such as writing, discussing, and presenting.
The design based on the manipulation of parallel bands to accommodate a large variation of activities combines an industrial signature with musical properties, such as modulation with the building contains two concert halls with a 1,200 and 250 person capacity, plus offices, rehearsal studios, music libraries, a disco, and restaurant and clubs. Within the mechanical skeleton of the halls, studios, and offices, NOX inserted zones whose function varied throughout the day or evening. The bar restaurant can be changed into a disco in the evening. The disco can be the foyer of the large hall again. The patio can be changed from a dense space into a terrace. The halls can be connected or disconnected by means of mobile partitions.
ECB. Design is based on a concept of variable modulation. All architecture types that are needed in this program are made into a family of continuous relations. The structure scheme consists of a steel honeycomb wall filled with large glass panels on the outer skin and a second glass skin on the interior, allowing the building to be ventilated naturally.
In consideration of the Centre Pompidou in Paris, NOX aims to design a museum where technology obtains a cultural profile and where art takes on the role of social agency. From the outside, the public square consists of undulating landscape that can absorb small dispersed events as well as large festivals. Entering the museum, the visitors are given the space to orient and plan their visit with various programs at hand. Black box, cafe, bookshop, infodesk, auditorium, tickets, and a large nave containing huge sculptures. As visitors proceed upward to the exhibition spaces, the volume transforms midway into a dome-like atrium that lets in diffuse daylight and gives incidental views over the city from small transparent openings.
A complex of buildings result from the renovation of an old textile factory into a conglomerate of art-related functions, plus a new multi-purpose hall used for concert, theater productions, fashion shows, and performances. As in Rotterdam, Hamburg, or Glasgow, art moves into abandoned industrial buildings to transform and revive the identity of a city.
Web is a part of NOX research into civic monumental architecture, where architecture is generated through very controlled aesthetics. that relates openness to structural integrity. Four different combinations between the columns in a three-base system make the entire library into a porous system of large openings, with diffuse daylight pouring in from all sides, and internal street passing through on the ground floor. The openings turn the reading areas into theaters. In this way, the different departments of a university library start to communicate, not just internally, but especially with the campus and the city.
The Seoul Opera House is placed on an island in the middle of Hangang River, connected by two bridges. The structural scheme consists of a system of pavilions and peaks that act as columns and domes, not only creating an iconic image, but also housing an opera, a concert hall, and a countless number of support functions. The scheme varies from opaque to full transparent according to programmatic needs. Closed when powering back stages, open when rubbing foyers and platforms, such as the restaurant on the top of Opera Tower that offers spectacular views of Seoul in all directions.
The goal was to create a new civic structure that represents a change in viewpoints and information gathering, and is woven into existing urban fabric without competing with the historical Esplanade Library. NOX have designed this extension as an inverse building, a curved-out space and empty form, where Esplane's volume is wide at the bottom and thin at the top. Ours is the reverse and has its base in the sky. The structure creates an urban space under a large cantilevering canopy that allows people to gather, to enter, to exit, to shelter, to perform, and thus becomes a sign of the public realm. On the top, there is a grass roof where visitors can look out over the city and its harbor.
A double museum conceived within an urban framework of strongly related. Monumental volumes requires that all are sculpted from the same mass of coherence. To articulate, Knox used the double concept of art historian Adrian Stokes that distinguishes between covering and modeling. Covering starts with the whole, the block, and works its way down to a form. Modeling starts with the unformed clay and works its way up towards the form.
In the history of art, the three graces are among the most powerful and lasting images of unity. Three graceful figures sharing a relaxed posture to form a group, like sisters or friends. Joy, beauty, and charm, the three aspects of gracefulness. Their arms, the legs, the torsos all make graceful gestures that relate them as a group, not as three added up together, but in synergy. The three towers work in a similar synergy. They can function separately, but in unison they perform better than just the sum of the parts. The towers contain a hotel and two office towers that are interconnected by a 600-meter-long footbridge. At the level of the bridge, the towers internally transform into a shopping area, a restaurant area, and a conference center in the last tower. These three graces offer a strongly symbolic gathering to the Dubai wharfage, referring as much to the towers of the city as to the creatures of the sea.
A bridge spanning 150 meters that acts as a gateway to the Gulf. The design uses techniques of braiding and knotwork to create a structurally coherent system and at the same time create a symbol of hope and confidence. Two torches spiral upward that, because of their form, are as visible and symbolic at day as at night when they are lit.
The Beacon of Amsterdam uses interest in variation and pictures to create a signature residential tower at the banks of the wide water north of Amsterdam. The tower relates as much to historical typologies based on stonework as to industrial panelization and prefab techniques. The tower contains wide variations of apartments, 3 floors of office space, a ground floor with lobbies, and restaurant on top of an underground parking.
Thoughts and dreams, loves and hopes, tastes and hills are represented both on the website and in the tower itself. Visible as 3 smooth volumes, suspended in the structure. Each of these contains large halls exhibiting the interactions between people and even presenting home video of citizens that have passed away. The web interactions are visualized by the tower in a daily change of colors: gold for brain, red for the heart, and blue for the gut, with additional lighting presenting online inhabitants and the usage of the stairs at daytime.
The house is part of a group of 3 arranged around the lake upstate New York. Since the site possesses an overwhelming natural quality of unspoiled wilderness, each house is lifted up and has no outdoor space, no garden or terrace on the ground. Each house is covered by a large, heavily decorated structure that creates such outdoor spaces around and between the rooms and provides a form of camouflage blending the house with the environment.
NOX wanted to make an object without any function, just to be here, without becoming an art object. Tommy loops back and forth between the optics and the haptics, the visual and the field, as if made by a blind person. Tommy is conceived as premature organism. From before, it should have seen the light of day, and therefore slime, ugly, even monstrous and unsightly, but just as moving as a baby. Tommy is a gesture created from inside out and orientated upon itself. As it lies, Tommy desperately desires to be picked up and stroked, to be explored in the same way it was made.
NOX installation is designed for the large atrium space of the museum, where daylight intrudes from above through a skylight. The intervention consists of a large undulating floor and two cotton-covered irregular volumes expressly conceived as an extension to the exhibition and meant to involve people's movement into ways of seeing. After more than 6 months with 100,000 visitors, the installation was successfully closed and reused for another half year for music and dance performances, fashion shows, and the like.
NOX conceived a tower that would change color according to the emotion of a town's inhabitants. Questioned in a daily survey, urban object that shows the hidden feelings of a whole city. The tower is a complex alloy of different media, where architecture is part of a larger system of interactive relationships. It is a project in which the intensive and the extensive change places, where human action, color, money, value, and feelings all become networked entities. The building is directly connected to the website in two ways. First, the website shows the visualization of the response of a number of selected inhabitants to the questionnaire. The survey deals with everyday emotions such as hate, love, happiness, and fear. Second, the four emotions are represented by green, red, blue, and yellow. The colors of the LEDs illuminated the building and are directly related to the website, where the responses are compared and weighed.